Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this how-to online session about how to consider your options for studying and working away during your time at Edinburgh. My name is Lindsay Snedden and I'm the International Programmes Manager at the Study and Work Away team, or the SWAY team at the university. I'm going to take you through some of your options for going abroad whilst you're at university. So, how to consider your options for study and work away. So in this session, I'm going to cover the benefits of going abroad. I'm going to go over what options you have in terms of study exchange, work placements, short-term options. I'm going to cover the things that you should really start researching now. And I'm going to point you towards some resources that will really help you in your research and looking into things that you might want to do. But before I start, I just another COVID-19 update just from a study and work away perspective. So just to make you aware that all the 2021 overseas placements, study and work placements have been cancelled for semester 1, or the majority of them have, and semester 2 is currently under review. Obviously health and safety is our #1 priority, and any students that may or may not, or that may be going abroad in semester 2, they will have to undertake a robust risk assessment process before we will approve travel. Approval of travel is linked to your travel guidance. And you can find more information and regular updates on the university's Welcoming You Back website. So, why should you go abroad? What are the benefits? Well, there's a whole host of benefits to doing an overseas study or work placement. One of them is academic benefits. So if you are going abroad to do a study exchange, for example, it's a really good opportunity to gain a new perspective on your subject area. So if you're studying history, for example, you'll get to see how that's taught from a Spanish perspective or from a US perspective, and just get some new ideas to help you with your studies. It's also an opportunity to take some unique courses in your subject area that might not be available at Edinburgh. Again, just to give you that edge, that other perspective, and something to add to your CV. And another thing is that more mobile students, that is students who go abroad, tend to get a first or a 2-1 than students who haven't gone abroad. And that's according to a recent report by Universities UK. So the academic benefits of going abroad are wide. There's also some graduate career benefits to going abroad. Now, graduate employers tell us, and our career service time and time again, that students who have spent some time abroad, either during or immediately after the degree, have lots of the transferable skills that they are looking for in employees. Drive is one of them. So employers have told us that just the very fact that a student has chosen to go abroad, to have that new experience, to put themselves out of their comfort zone is a real positive in their eyes, and something that will make you stand out from the crowd. Having that resilience as well, to be independent for a year, to go and live somewhere else in a different country and get to grips with a different culture and education system. Building those intercultural sensitivities. Companies and organisations these days are more and more international, and more often than not, graduates will be working in intercultural teams. So having someone that's already been in that environment is a real plus for employers. Another thing is language skills. So even if you don't speak a language and you're going to do a placement that is in English, quite often that might be in a country that isn't English speaking, and so students who have picked up language skills, however basic, as part of the time abroad, are also in demand from employers. Sorry, the formatting of these slides has changed a little bit, so apologies for that. But just touching on those transferable skills, there's a whole host of transferable skills, not just for employability, but also just for personal development that you can gain from having gone abroad. So planning and organising. Things like organising your flights, your accommodation, your visas, it takes quite a long time and requires a lot of skills that you can build up. Problem solving, assertiveness, initiative, adaptability, obviously adapting to a whole new culture, education system, and a new language in many cases is a real great skill to develop, as well as some analytical competencies. So as you can see, there's a whole host of transferable skills that going abroad can gain you. So what are your options for going abroad whilst you're in Edinburgh? Well, the first one, and one of our most popular options, is a study exchange. So that involves you going to one of our partner universities overseas, normally for a full academic year, although in some cases there's the option to go for just a semester. You will keep studying your own subject whilst you're there. So if you're studying maths, for example, you'll keep studying maths while you're abroad. And the vast majority of students will go in their third year. So normally you go in your third year and you apply in semester 1 of your second year. Now, if you go on a study exchange, it's completely integrated into your degree. So you're not adding an additional year onto your degree programme. You're simply doing your third year, but somewhere else. We have a whole range of destinations worldwide, from the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Europe, Asia, Latin America. So the world really is your oyster, but where you can go will depend on your study programme. Whilst you're abroad, depending on what programme you're doing, either your credits or your grades that you've obtained at the partner university will be converted back to your Edinburgh degree and will count towards your degree outcome. And we have many options in English, like I said, and I think it's been a bit of a misconception among students in the past that you have to have a language skill to go abroad. That's absolutely not true, although it might help in many circumstances. We do have a whole range of opportunities in English, so please do keep that in mind. Work placements are another great option for going abroad, particularly if you want to gain some work experience in a different country, and again, that's a great CV builder. Now you could do a work placement in term time, but please do speak to your school, because normally that's only possible on certain programmes where there's a compulsory overseas element. The majority of our students who undertake a work placement with us do so over the summer or as a recent graduate, and they do that through the Erasmus traineeship programme. That programme provides funding to do a work placement, and how it works is that a student will go overseas and it will come to the university and apply for Erasmus funding to support them to do that. And I'll come on to the Erasmus programme in a little second. Although that you would have to find your own placement, there's a whole host of resources available on the Career Service website that will help you to do that. I'll come on to that at the end when I talk about resources. But if you are interested in sort of building up your CV and getting that sort of international work experience, please look into doing this, because it's a really good option. Just an update on the Erasmus Plus programme at the moment. So I mentioned that the Erasmus programme offers funding for students to go and do a work placement overseas. That's also true for study placements. So if you were going on a study placement to Europe, then you could be eligible for an Erasmus grant that's worth between 350 and 450 euro per month, and that's not something that you'd have to pay back. It's just to really support you with your living costs overseas. Now, the UK currently participates in the Erasmus programme. However, Brexit, which is going to be completed at the end of 2020, will sadly impact our ability to participate in the programme. However, due to funding cycles, we may still have funding available up to the academic year 22-23, which would be when many of you will be going into your third year, and so you could be eligible to receive some funding for your study exchange if you're going to an eligible European country. So please do check out our website. We have a funding section and a specific section on the Erasmus grant if you want to look into that. We also have a range of short-term international opportunities. So a lot of students maybe haven't really been abroad independently before, or you might be still living at home, but you might feel that just going abroad for a full year is a bit of a big step at the moment. And so we do have a number of short-term programmes that you could look into if you wanted to go abroad for a shorter period of time. So one of these is the Go Abroad Fund. So the Go Abroad Fund is open to all students at all levels, from first year right up until postgraduate. And it's a fund that offers awards of between £350 and £750 for students to do short-term experiences of between 1 and 8 weeks during the summer. And apologies again, the formatting of the slide is a bit off. I'll try and fix that before it gets uploaded anywhere else. The placement you would have to find yourself again, and there's some resources again to help you on the careers website. They must have an educational component, so we're not going to fund you to go and line a beach or work in a bar, sadly. And it can't be a credit-bearing part of your degree, so it has to be something extracurricular. But we've had students do a whole range of different things, from volunteering in a sloth sanctuary in Costa Rica, to going to a conference in Germany, to doing an internship in Paris, maybe doing some research as well that might help them with their degree. So it's really very flexible. So please have a look at our website if you're interested in that. Applications will hopefully open for the summer in early 2021, but again, that will be COVID dependent. We have another short-term programme available over the summer months, and it's called the Insight programme. So it focuses on design thinking, social innovation and entrepreneurship. And it starts off with students undertaking an online course before then completing a 2-week summer school in China. Now, the programme's part funded, so the total cost to student in previous years cost £350 for the entire 2 weeks. And during the summer school, you would be working on a business model in intercultural teams, and you'd be pitching a solution to global challenges. So if that's something that's up your street, please do check on our website again for more information. Information will be uploaded on our website shortly. Finally, we have the NICE programme. Now, it's quite similar to the Insight programme in that it's a kind of blended type of mobility, so it blends interactive and in-person mobilities. It has interactive virtual modules focusing on entrepreneurship and cultural competence, and it also gives students the chance to complete an online course called a SLIC that is credit bearing, and so you will get some credit on your transcript, which is good, again, for your CV. Again, it focuses on global challenges, and students taking part in the NICE programme will be given the chance to develop a business idea to solve a global challenge. And this culminates in a 1-week summer school in Salamanca in Spain. Again, that's dependent on COVID-19 restrictions, but we really hope that it's going to be going forward this year. So what should you consider if you're thinking about going abroad? Well, obviously, costs are a big thing, and they're something that makes students a little bit nervous sometimes. How much your overseas experience will cost will depend completely on the destination and the duration of your activity. It'll depend how much your flights will cost, how much your travel insurance will be. Now, the university does provide free of charge travel insurance to students, but you might want, if you need some extra cover for sports, for example, or for anything else, then you might have to top that up. So please check that in advance. Accommodation, obviously your choice of accommodation is going to directly impact how much your experience will cost. And think about your visa as well. Now for the USA, if you're thinking about going on a study exchange, quite often they require proof of funds. So they need you to show that you have access to cover your living costs for the entire time that you're there. And that can run into thousands of pounds. So please do your research well in advance, and if you do need to plan for so that you can plan for those costs in advance, it's not a surprise when you come to apply in second year. Fees as well, so we get quite a lot of questions about fees, particularly for students wanting to go on study exchanges. It's important to note that if you're going on a study exchange, you will never pay tuition fees to your host institution, and you'll always keep paying them to Edinburgh whilst you're away. How much you will pay will vary depending on your fee status, and you can find the costs for studying away on the university's fees and scholarships website. Sorry, I just meant to add there, it's important to note that if you're studying abroad, the tuition fee will never be higher than it will be in Edinburgh, so you'll either pay the same or it'll be a reduced fee. Just moving on now to research and preparation. So things that you will need to obviously think about before applying to go on one of our overseas experiences. If you're wanting to apply for a study exchange, many of our places are quite competitive, and as part of the allocation process, your first year grades will be taken into account. So if you are really keen on going overseas, please just make sure your first year grades are you study hard in your first year. Consider taking a language course. So I mentioned before that it's not essential in many cases to have a language, but if you do want to go to an institution that only teaches in Spanish, for example, then you will be required to have a certain level of Spanish language skills, and they will test you before you go. So it's worth thinking about picking up a language course through the university now, if that's what you want to do. Look into the destinations and options available to you, and I'll give you a link as to where these are at the end of the presentation. As I said before, where you can go on study exchange will depend completely on what you're studying, so please do check that out. The destinations might change year on year a little bit, but what's available now will give you a bit of quite a good indication of what could be available when you go. I mentioned before about planning for costs, and also please keep an eye out for our fairs and information sessions. So when you move into your second year, we'll be doing a series of information and support sessions for students who want to go abroad. So keep your eye out for those and make sure that you attend. So finally, I just want to point you towards some resources that might be useful whilst researching your potential time abroad. So firstly, the University of Edinburgh Go Abroad website. So that's ed.ac.uk/go abroad. The destinations guide that I mentioned before, that will tell you what's available depending on your destination. Sorry, depending on your study programme. There's a link to that there. Most of these as well, when you Google them, it's the first link that comes up. Speak to your school exchange coordinator as well. So each school has either an academic or an administrative member of staff that is very knowledgeable about the exchanges and destinations available for their school. So there's a list of exchange coordinators on our website. So please get in touch with yours if you have any questions. I'd also really recommend the Global Graduates website. Now, this was set up by University of Edinburgh graduate a number of years ago, and it's like a one-stop shop for tips, articles, blogs, even down to things like lists of what to pack before you go abroad. So please check that out. And I mentioned as well resources on the Career Service website, so please check out their website, and also the My Career Hub. So that's the Career Service sort of employment portal, and they have overseas placements listed as well, which might help you if you're looking to do something like that in the summer. So thank you very much for listening. Our email address is SWAY, so that stands for the Study and Workaway Service, so sway@ed.ac.uk, and if you do have any questions subsequently to this session, feel free to contact us. We'll be happy to get